bred, Guadalupe County, born first and Air Force Base. Day two, our family was down on 123. This is my home, where I'm from, college, university. I went to Baylor University for school, in Braunfels Christian Academy for high school. After that, ended up going on to Harvard and for the business school and banking school program. We studied public administration, and then had been working for the House Republicans here locally. Was a political director in 2022. We flipped this district from blue to red for the first time. That's how many of you know me, also from just growing up here in high school too as well. Lastly, I am more than honored to be here to run for this space, represent the people that not only have already fought for experience-wise, but the people that make up my home, this region that raised me. Even talking to Mary's wife over here, they knew me when I was in middle school and younger, and seen so many familiar faces. This is my people, my home. Looking forward to serving.
My name is Steve Wright. I retired as a deputy sheriff after 30 years. Currently, I'm a constable over in Comal County where I live at. I've been a public servant my entire life, and it's something that I'm dedicated to. I've been doing it, and I find great value in doing this. My motivation into jumping into this campaign was actually last year during the 35 currently. And with my public service background, it was because of the defunding movement that came out of Austin back in 2020. And my dedication to public safety, the underfunding of public safety down in the San Antonio area. George is very familiar with the reporting of how they are not funding our law enforcement properly down there. I've been an avid supporter and public protector of our public safety officers my entire life. I spent 15 years as an elected representative on our board, and I want to continue doing that. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Carlos de la Cruz. I am running for Congress because I am not done fighting for my country. You see, before my wife and I built a small business from the ground up in San Antonio, I served 20 years in the United States Air Force, and I deployed to multiple hostile locations after 9/11. And I deployed down to our southern border to work side by side our customs agents conducting drug interdiction against some of the most dangerous cartel in the world. I know a threat when I see one, and as a father of a teenage daughter, that threat is against our kids in this country. I feel like they're being bombarded by woke ideology, and they were being taught to hate their country and question their own identity, and I don't think any of us should allow that to continue. President Trump isn't allowing it to continue. I will not allow it to continue. That is why I'm running for Congress. I'm not a politician, but I'm a fighter. And I want to fight alongside our president to protect kids and make sure they inherit a country that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. My name is John Lujan. I'm the current state representative for House District 118, which takes all of South Bexar County, East Bexar County, up into the Northeast. I was born and raised in District 35 my whole life. Married 41 years. My wife's here, Frida. Always going to announce her, so she's always at all these events. I have 5 boys. We have 5 boys. We have 2 biological boys and 3 adoptive boys. We've never planned on adopting, so we do a lot of work with the church and different youth groups, and God put them in our path and we adopt them. So we're blessed too, because all 5 boys are very successful. They're all young men now, so I'm really excited about that. I'm a retired. I was in the sheriff's department for 6.5 years. I'm a retired San Antonio firefighter. I have a business company, a technology company that we grew from 3 of us to today we sit about 500 employees. I decided to run for office late in life. I'm the first and only Republican to win my seat in the history of Texas, which is a big accomplishment, and I did it a second time. And I hope to do this. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Howdy. Retired Navy Commander Jay Furman. First, I want to acknowledge everybody for being here. Thank you. Thanks for Tamara and all the Guadalupe Republican women. Appreciate it. And thanks to all the candidates for stepping up. We have patriots here, all of us. We do this as Republicans. We run against each other. A lot of good people. I was the GOP nominee for this area last time. Almost carried Guadalupe by 70%. Almost defeated Henry Cuellar. Still fighting election challenge down on Laredo right now. Got cheated 6 ways to Sunday. That's at the United States Congress right now. But we're not waiting around. I believe in running where you live, which is CD 35 now. That's Universal City. My history of service began as an Eagle Scout.
and then I went off to the Texas National Guard, flew missions on the border here in Black Hawk. As a pilot, went off to the Navy, flew around the world as a, we call it a tactical E-6B driver. I actually controlled the nuclear mission, all the nuclear arsenal from my jet. I was mission commander, aircraft commander for that. And then was a foreign area officer, went all around the world, fighting for U.S. interests, all over the place in strange Star Wars bars, if you will. Much like DC is now, which is a place that tries to corrupt you, 6 Regiment Sunday. Commander Jay Foreman, thank you.
Howdy, my name is Rod Lynch, and I am a Christian conservative constitutionalist. I'm an Air Force veteran, combat veteran, who served as a officer, pilot, fighter pilot, and leader. I'm a former Texas peace officer, sheriff deputy, and I work alongside the Border Patrol with their mission in Arizona and Texas. I owned and operated a very successful business in San Antonio. For 10 years, I was a combat defense, worked for defense overseas for 10 years with top secret clearance. In 6 of those years, I was in Kabul until it fell to the Taliban. I've been married for 41 years, 3 wonderful adult children, and 3 grandkids. Thank you, Rod Lynch.
Hi, I'm Mark Everline. I'm a candidate for the U.S. House District 35. And I'm your best hope for your nation's children. I've heard a lot today, but I can tell you that unless we fix this mess that we've set up for our kids, this nation will not survive. Our children are our most important natural resource, and we have failed them miserably. I'm a consumer advocate. I'm a small business owner. I'm married with 3 children. I do a lot of construction defects litigation. I was in Seguin last year for a jury trial for a home builder that built a hunk of junk for a home buyer and helped her. And I've lived in this district for 55 plus years and been a consumer advocate for almost 40 years. Thanks.
Hello, Guadalupe County Republican Women, great event. It just shows that great women can get great things done. I am Lieutenant Colonel retired United States Army, Vanessa Hicks Calloway. First and foremost, I thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for allowing me to have been born and raised in the great state of Texas, which is the promised land, the city on the hill. I believe that the Texas 35th Congressional District is the brightest light in that city on the hill, which is why I want to be the next representative for the Texas 35th. I believe I am qualified, experienced, and prepared to do this job on day one. I served for 26 years, United States Army. I have 2 combat tours, Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. Operation Iraqi Freedom, I received the Bronze Star. I am now wanting to bring no disrespect to the medal, but the Bronze Star for Texas 35th. I am married 29 years and I have 2 adult sons. Thank you very much. Vote for Vanessa.
Thank you. Randy Adams, I'm a Texan father, Christian businessman, and I'm running for Congress, District 35. I built a successful business the last 60 years, spending decades standing strong, faith, family, and freedom. Now the time has come, and I feel like I need to take a stronger stand in Washington. I believe that President Trump is doing an outstanding, excellent job. The Congress and Senate is failing us in many areas. We have too many career politicians putting themselves above the American citizens first, and they've forgotten why they were elected, who they served. That's why I'm running for Congress in District 35 to fight America First agenda. We need help in all parts of this country. I'm Randy Adams. Thank you. God bless you. God bless Texas. God bless America.
Well, good afternoon now. My name is Ryan Krause, and I want to thank you all for having us here. Thank you for being here. This is so important. And thank you, Tamara, for putting this together. It's an amazing event. And I do think I was sitting down there laughing that you're asking Texans to come up here and say anything in 60 seconds or less. That's not fair. But I do want to thank you guys for being here. I am a Krause. I am an Engelke. If you look at family line, I'm a Krause, I'm an Engelke, I'm a Friesenhahn. I don't think I have to prove my Texan citizenship any more than that. But I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to support you. And I was thinking this morning about something that you probably don't know about me. John Maxwell has written over 100 books on leadership and considered the #1 leadership expert in the world. And yet in 2015, he hired me to come and do leadership training with his top staff. Today, he hires me to lead his organization, 60,000 coaches nationwide. And he pays me to lead them into better results. He also asked me to go into third world countries that have problems with government corruption and fix their corruption. I've got experience doing that, and I'm looking forward to doing that right here in America as your representative. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks. Once again, we have, you've got, gotcha. We've got to watch the clock. We have 3 questions. Well, one of the questions is a little convoluted. That's okay. I'll make sure that you understand it. First question, we're going to ask of all of you, since you're going to be in Congress, do you believe Nancy Pelosi needs another facelift? What is the most important issue facing our country? Brian, let's start with you.
That's awesome. Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Speaking of Nancy Pelosi, some of us come up here, you've heard people talk about all this experience and everything else. If you only look at political ratings, if you only look at political success, I would make an argument that Nancy Pelosi has been a very, very successful politician. But I assure you, I am not lining up to vote for Nancy Pelosi. So there's more to it than just experience. But with that being said, to answer the question, the most important thing, #1, you can't ask an analytical person most important, because that's just going to paralyze us. But I think the attack on our culture, the attack on who we are, the attack on what makes America great, there's a systematic destruction of who we are. And I'll give you a very quick example. Instead of standing up here and telling you how good I am, I should be on court apologizing for being a man. I should apologize for being a Christian. I should apologize for being white. I should apologize for being conservative. I should apologize for being Republican. And some of these people behind me, thank you for your service, but you should apologize for defending American exceptionalism. No, instead, I'm thanking you, and I'm apologizing to our young people for what we've done to them.
The #1 issue I see today is affordability. We can't afford a lot of things due to the Biden and Obama 4 years that we went through. I'm in 3 different businesses. I see people struggling. I see the cost of things. It's going to take more than 1 year for Trump, who's done an excellent job, to put us back where we can afford everything. It's going to take, he's working hard on tariffs, but the tariffs will be 0 to 0 soon, and then we'll work everything out. We need to help Americans, not foreigners. We're taking care of foreigners. I can also vouch that I'm in the car business, and we call Houston bad dad on the bayou. And that's the reason is we've seen the Muslims take over the car business in Houston, and they're moving to San Antonio and Dallas today. We need to settle on helping people here to survive what's going on with the economy.
I've been on the Trump train since 2016. I joined President Trump because he recognized that the biggest threat to this nation today is the threat to our American culture, our American way of life. I believe there's a 3-headed dragon. The dragon comes to steal, to kill, and to destroy. They want to steal it by continuing to brainwash our youth through DEI and other things that are indoctrinating our children. They also want to steal it by opening up the border, by ushering in illegals to steal our limited resources, which is why I'm running for Congress. I believe I can take the fight directly to the threat. I was a military intelligence officer, and I have 3 college degrees, one of which is a degree in political science, so I understand that part of it, and I have a master's degree. I believe that you need someone that's going to fight for you and not get to Congress and get Trump derangement syndrome and stab President Trump in the back. That will not be me. You need to elect Vanessa Hicks Calloway. I am now a crusader. I may be retired, but I am a crusader for faith, family, and freedom, which is how we are going to defeat the threat to American culture in this nation. Thank you. Vote for Vanessa.
I'm gonna go back to the children. And I'm gonna tell you that I'm probably the most creative person that you'll meet. The answer with the transgendering of our children is simple. You elect me to Congress and I will author legislation that does away with the statute of limitations for anyone involved in the transgendering of a minor, to include the parents, counselors, teachers, the psychiatrists, the surgeons, the hospitals, and the insurance companies, anesthesiologists. And, so that when that child grows up and realizes what you've done to them, they can come after your assets in perpetuity, each and every one of you. And that nonsense will stop overnight. Overnight. We've got to revamp the school systems. We've got to level the playing field. You have to teach all children. You have to give them math skills and communication skills. And the way we do that is the first grade is nothing but math, English, and writing. The second grade, we introduce the trades of the world. And by the fifth grade, we make economics majors out of every student in America. That's how you level the playing field.
The biggest problem in America is our economy and the out of control federal debt. Thanks to Obama and Biden, our tax structure cannot solve that problem. President Trump's on the right track, but it's going to take about 20 years to pay off the debt. I write about it in my book. I've been talking to people about 25 years about the problem, and they would tell me I should run for Congress. So I have, and I wrote a book, and I passed it out to politicians, and they're starting to look at it. I asked that you all look at it and see how we can solve all of America's problems. Okay? The book talks about what went wrong with America, our economy, and what we can do to fix it. My tax structure eliminates all current taxes. Believe it or not, our system is the worst system you can have because it affects every single one of us. Is, things get more expensive, we have to have more taxes. The piece of my book back there, or scan the code on the back of my business card.
All right, thanks, George. Great question. We are at war right now, and the most important issues why I got in this fight is mass deportation. The guys that were keeping away from this country did it indirect. It came in through our border, under our noses. And again, thank you for being here because it's going to take us to get them out. We don't put a phalanx around what President Trump is doing, mass deportation, and protect ICE. What's happening in Minnesota right now can happen here. Believe you me, we just talked about Houston, Dallas, San Antonio even has an Islamization, has a Marxization. All of these fronts beckon to get out the most important thing, and that is the people here that are insurgents, literally here. 25 million is my number. It's the same as the president's. Came in here through the dark at night. If we don't get them out really, really quick, they're going to start a kinetic version of what we see down here in Texas. So that's number one. And it's connected to all the rest. It's connected to sapping our security through the economy, our security through the culture, and our security through our governance. Thank you.
I truly believe President Trump has done so much in such a short period of time. With deportation, the fentanyl, economy, everything's moving in the right direction. So the biggest threat that we have is this election. This election, the maps are redrawn. We need to make sure that we have a Republican and we maintain House majority. That is imperative. Without that, can you imagine if we don't have House majority, they're going to go right into impeaching. They're going to stop everything. Everything goes backwards. That's what prompted me to run. I ran for the first time. Didn't think I was going to win. Special election, a bunch of us after church meet, we solved all the world's problems at the taqueria where I go to. And we had a special election. Everybody said for me to run. I said, I'll run. I'm not going to win. I'm a Republican. I won. Then I won the second time, the most expensive race, $2.8 million against me. And we won. We've got a ground game. We know the numbers. We're working hard. We need to make sure we hold this seat. That's why I tell you, please, vote Lujan.
Hello, and so keeping the border secure and obviously reviving the economy are some very serious issues plaguing our country. And it wasn't that long ago where the average age to buy a home is 28. Now it's 40. And then, of course, we saw millions of people pour into our country illegally under the Biden years. So yes, I absolutely want to do what I can to revive our economy. And I want to make sure I enshrine President Trump's policies into law. And I want to make sure that our police officers get the tools, the manpower, and the respect that they deserve. But let's be clear. If we don't do something about our kids barreling down civilizational suicide, we may not have an economy to rescue, a border to secure. Heck, we may not even have a country for very much longer. So I want to be able to look our kids in the eyes, tell them your life matters. God has a plan for you and your country. We need to, because if we save them, we truly make America great again. Thank you.
I have a little bit different take on some of the problems that we have. When you mention Congress, we have a lot of problems. But some of the largest problems that we have are the fraud and corruption that we have going across this country. It hasn't even tipped the iceberg that we've discovered. It's starting in Minnesota. We saw that with some of the California politics with homelessness. It's going to go there next. And the estimates right now, we're looking at over $500 billion a year, almost 15% of our annual budget for the nation. Our biggest issue that we have is controlling our economy and the public debt that we actually have for this country. We saw it over the last 4 years during the Biden administration, where our enemies were trying to destabilize our monetary system. It is going to be very easy to do that if we do not get our debt for this country under control.
All right, well, first thing for me, thank you so much again for having us out here, is that we have got to get a control on our border. Right now, what's happening and what's moved into what we saw even recently in Minnesota, the entitlement that a lot of these illegal immigrants have to our resources here locally is unacceptable. That is something that we have had to deal with personally here in Texas. It not only affects just illegal immigration, it affects our hospitals, our schools, 4 counties, 4 cities that have to barely be able to make their own ends meet, and then they have to handle all these illegal immigrants that have come in. We need to make sure they get them all out. What happened last week in a church in Minnesota, unacceptable. To walk into a house of worship and take control of that house, and we've got wars over this. This is a First Amendment and a Second Amendment issue. We're able to defend ourselves and not let that happen in our country. It's not on my watch. I'm looking forward to going to Washington and being the wall these people beat their heads against. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
Okay.
Next question, folks. Next question is, what would you do? How can you explain what you want to do regarding the issue of spending, tax reduction, and fraud that's going on in our government currently?
We need to continue doging our agencies. We got a good start on it right now. The president's done a great job. I'd also like to say, everybody here can talk about the support of the president. I actually worked in the president's campaign in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. The only person that can come up here and tell you that, because I believed from day one that was the future for our country, right? So on top of that, we have a death tax that is crippling, especially people out here, our rural areas. Someone dies, we lose the farm, we lose the house. Unacceptable to be able to do that at a nationwide scale. We want to tackle that too as well. We want to make sure that Trump tax credits are codified in the law. We want to make sure that there's a codification of every single one of those to make sure that we have more money in our pockets to be able to not only pass down to our students or our children, but also make sure that we have enough to spend day to day here locally and be able to stimulate our economy. Those are kind of the big things as far as money goes, but also as far as grants go, we want to cut a lot of these fraud and woke grant spending. We're able to do that at the congressional level with the power of the purse, and we can do that as well to make sure money comes here local. Thank you.
I've been helping people that have gotten scammed in my entire career. We need to continue the path that we are doing, and we need to utilize the last 2 years of whoever out of this group gets elected to leverage the time that we have with President Trump to continue our budgetary process along the way. It is important that we get our budget spending under control, reduce the fraud, the corruption that's going across our nation, and we need to start holding people accountable. Otherwise, it is going to continue. The government spending starts from the top of government down, which is Congress. And we need to start having congressional hearings. We need to start putting safeguards on the money that we are giving out to state and the budgets and the different things and programs that we are seeing currently moving forward. And some of the things that I've done in the background with when I was elected representative, I did a lot of forensic auditing. So thank you very much.
All right, so listen, our country is almost $39 trillion in debt right now. And I definitely want to reduce our taxes and limit the size of our government. The government should be good stewards of our tax money. And so the biggest amount of fraud that I think is in our government has to do with our immigration system, our broken immigration system. I mean, look what's going on out in Minnesota. The amount of fraud that's being uncovered within the Somali community is disgusting. And the sad part about it is Minnesota's probably not all that unique. It's just the one place we bothered to look. I think it's the direct result of when government prioritizes ideology over accountability. And so, yes, I absolutely want to lower taxes, limit the size of our government, but we should go after fraud wherever we find it. And we should claw back that stolen money and give it to Americans who need it the most, like our families, hardworking families, our seniors, and our veterans. Thank you.
When it comes to this, I think we gotta always look at a moment in time. We're at a moment in time right now where we have this stuff happen in Minnesota and everybody here is talking about the fraud and abuse, but we need to change our mindset as a country. And this is something that's really big to me. When government creates these things, then we create opportunities for people to steal money, to abuse money, build a hierarchy, admin stuff. The money needs to be directed, and whether we put a framework in place, but it has to get back to our local churches because the government has taken the place of the church. And the church used to be the one to take care of the elders and the orphans and those kinds, because those are people that love God, have God in their heart, and want to do those things. That's where we should be directing it and doing it in a creative way, maybe proof of concept. But those are things that I see a great moment in time, and I think this is a part where we can make that change because I think it's that important for the future of our country that we invest the dollars where it needs to be and not just throw it into agencies and expecting them to serve our public, and they might do. Even if they have a few wins, they have these big losses, and it looks really bad, and it's a waste of our money.
Yeah, I'll disagree. The government doesn't need to give or direct anything. There's three things the federal government should be doing. That's national defense, that's foreign affairs, and refereeing interstate commerce. The rest is pushed down to the local level where we can manage our money, direct solutions to problems where we feel that it goes, and we can ride hard on that and make sure it's not run away like Iowa, like Minnesota, like all the other states that are blue, we're finding out. President Trump yesterday said that we could almost balance the budget with the fraud is being discovered. Absolutely insane. So the further we get from our money and the more people that have access to it, like in DC, the more we're going to be parted with it. And we can't govern that way, and they're going to waste it every time. Tell you what, if we could just move forward and do government like we originally planned as a country, it'd be great. But that's not what the real game is. The illegal industrial complex that is afoot right now through our elections, through our border, through our economy, and through our social systems has grown to 6 ways to Sunday. That's absolutely in the future for our kids.
Our economic structure that the Obama administration and Biden administration imposed upon us has collapsed us. 55% of Americans rely on welfare and entitlement programs. Can you pay for that out of your tax dollars? That's why since 2023 and 2024, everything the federal government raises goes to entitlement, welfare, and the interest on federal debt. Again, in my book, I propose solutions to those problems, and I've been trying for 25 years to set forth a grassroots effort. People love my ideas, but you can't get them into the politicians' minds. Recently, I did get some ideas out there that are being picked up. Thank God for that, but I'm not selling anything. I'm trying to create a grassroots movement with my ideas, my reform. Everything is free. Books free. There's hard copies over there if you want them. Download the ebook. audiobook, listen to it while you're driving, and I think you'll agree that it's all America's problems. Thank you.
I'm going to challenge you here today to come up with just one single social program that isn't corporate welfare in disguise. Every single social program has corporate welfare in disguise, and I'll wait for that answer. Cash for clunkers, electric car tax credit, solar panel tax credit, first-time home buyer tax credit, PPP money, all corporate welfare. And in the end, what we need to do is we need to teach our children that every single dollar that goes to the social program is stealing from them and their children and their children. We need to reimagine inflation controls. We need to replace the Fed interest rate, market manipulation. Make no mistake, it's market manipulation. And we need to substitute it with a dynamic real-time fuels tax system so that we can see where that revenue is going, so that we can see how much income we can produce for our children.
As I stated, I am married 29 years. I have 2 adult sons, and I have a vested interest in making sure that the federal government doesn't keep its hand in my pocket and take too many of my hard-earned tax dollars. So I'm all for limited taxation. I'm also a Texas realtor, and so I want to see our district be able to purchase food, cars, and homes. Yes, it's the shameless plug. I got that. But I believe all we need to do is continue to follow with President Trump's America First agenda. He is already doing excellent work as it relates to tariffs, bringing in more and more revenue for this great country. He already has a solution in place to get us out of this hole, out of the deficit, and out of the current debt that we have. So what is the solution? As a representative, I will continue to partner with our great president and make sure that I ensure that we can be richer, safer, stronger, and healthier in the Texas 35th district. So what am I saying? We just need to get on board with President Trump and help him. Thank you. Vote for Vanessa.
I believe that NGOs is the biggest problem, but it's due to the Democrat Party. It's pushed through, they get the money coming back to them. These grants go to special interest parties, and they get the money back from the Democrat Party. We're not standing as Republicans, standing strong, standing what's right, and making sure that everything's handled properly, correctly, in order. And we're letting the Democrat Party run over us and speak louder, cheat, and do the things they want. We need to investigate all the NGOs, see where the money goes and where it's coming back. We have this opportunity to come together and speak our minds and make sure we're speaking the right things. But we need to stand together and make sure we get others out and vote and get the Republican Party controlled where we can police these other grants that are going out.
Hi, so I'm listening and so many good things being said. Thank you for that. And I'm thinking, okay, what has not been said? Because I agree with so much of what has been said. So just a little bit different perspective. It's real easy to stand up here and I'm tempted to say Tim Walz is bad, Minnesota is bad, Somalians are bad, the fraud that's going on is bad. It's real easy to do. But what I want to point out is the robbery that's happening. Because Mr. Ken Keel is sitting here, and thank you. Ken Keel is doing amazing things in the nonprofit sector in our community. And if Ken Keel wants to help me, he's being robbed by the federal government because the federal government's taking his tax dollars and they're distributing it. And we can talk about all the fraud, waste, and abuse and the inefficiency of that system. But he's being robbed of the opportunity to look me in the eye and say, here's how I'm helping you. And the accountability to say, what are you doing with what I'm doing to help you? And that's being robbed when we're trusting the federal government to do that work for us. And so that's got to be corrected. And we need the Congress, the backbone, to back Congress out of our lives.
Folks, the last question. It's very simple. What makes you qualified and why should people vote for you?
Thank you all again so much for coming out tonight. Why am I qualified? Because I have the experience, I have the access, and on top of that, I have the awareness. First experience. I'm the only person who's worked both on the Senate side and on the House side for House Republicans and our U.S. Senator from Texas. This is my background. This is what I know how to do. We only have 2 years left, as mentioned. with the president, this isn't time to learn on the job. It's not time to get our sea legs under us. We're gonna hit the ground running from day one. We have all the lines already set up here, and I already have people from former offices that are willing to come work on my team. I've already, lastly too, I'm glad I brought up the border. I just got the endorsement of Texans for strong borders, the True Texas Project, 7 out of 7. And then just this morning, on top of Young Conservatives in Texas, San Antonio Young Republicans, I just found out I got Protecting Texas Children as well. So right now, the most endorsed out of everybody in this race are our Texas grassroots organizations. And then on top of that, right now, we are really after what it takes to win this race. So thank you so much for your time. And Josh Cortez, experience, awareness, and on top of that, local body.
I've been a public servant my entire life, fighting for my communities, keeping them safe, keeping people safe from harm, the scams, the corruption that we have actually had and experienced in our everyday lives. And I see this opportunity to continue my public service in Congress, to continue and fighting for the American people. I believe that we need good quality, focused individuals that can sit there and reduce taxation, reduce our government, get our government working back for the American people instead of us working harder, more, longer days, harder hours, and getting taxed more to allow government spending, to sustain government spending the way that it's been going for the last 4.5 years. And I believe that I have been doing that my entire career, and I look forward to doing that further. Thank you.
So look, it's been an honor of my life to serve my country for 20 years in the United States Air Force. And it would be an honor to serve you again in Congress. I've owned a small business, so I understand the needs of our local businesses. I know firsthand the challenges that they face, whether it's dealing with payroll, labor shortages, or overregulation. I'm the only one standing up here who has been endorsed by our Border Patrol. I'm the only one up here who's been endorsed by several of President Trump's strongest fighters in Congress. And they endorse me because they know that I don't back them. They know that I have stared down radical Islamic terrorists in the Middle East, and that I have stared down the cartel down at our southern border. I can tell you that I'm going to take that same result with me to Washington, D.C., and I pray that you will join me. Thank you, and God bless.
It was about 7, 8 weeks ago. I went down to Washington, D.C. to meet with congressional leadership. I met with the White House team, and they asked me point blank, because they said, they had mentioned and said, your 118 district, even Governor Abbott doesn't win that. No Republican, local, all the way through federal, has ever won. How did you do it? Why did you win that one? And I didn't have an answer. And I thought, and I started thinking, I said, well, life. You know, I've been married 41 years. I have 5 boys, grown men that are all successful. Small business guy. I was a sheriff's deputy for 6.5 years. Worked in the Oak County Jail, and then I worked as a warrant officer. Then I went in with the San Antonio Fire Department. The only reason why I retired, because 12, 13 years ago, we had 200 employees, and my partner said, you said when you could retire, which I had 25 years, said you would retire. We had the business to run. Today, we're 500 people. We put people to work. All those life experiences that I have, and then my working at the state, I was chairman of the foreign relations. I was vice chair of juvenile justice. All that work is going to play into having a good, sound congressional representative. Thank you.
I feel elected because I'm a fighter. My entire naval career, my Army career before that. Tell you what I'm concerned about most is people getting up to DC and getting corrupted. The problems we have today are people get up there and they get wined and dined. It happens very quick. Rhino Republicans are the cause of our problems. We have to keep those out, whoever they may be. Find wolves in sheep's clothing. We're going to have the problem again. So all over the world, I've been put in situations to be compromised. They trained us against that. We don't train our men and women that go up to Congress to find the biggest Star Wars bar, the biggest corruptible den of thieves you could ever find. I am proven at the end of my naval service, well, right before the end, I outed the UN. Was sent on a mission with them and whistleblow them. At the end of my service, I was a vaccine mandate, the first Navy vaccine mandate whistleblower. Went up against a 5-sided building, went on Tucker Carlson and pushed back against that machine. I walked all over Capitol House, active duty commander, and no, listen to him. I'm still gonna be a fighter for this town, from this congressional district, because this is where we're gonna take our stand and push back. This is the line in the stand that we draw. Never Jay Furman, CD 35.
This is an important and fair question. As your representative, the job is not about prestige or maintaining control over you. It's about judgment, results, and accountability. My entire life has been in service to America and has put me in numerous positions where I had to make very difficult, timely decisions to produce the correct outcomes. As a lifelong learner and researcher, I know what the solutions are, but the difficult job is getting them done. I would be honored to be your representative. May God bless you and God bless the great state of Texas. Thank you.
I don't get that 26 seconds you left. Mark Epperline here again. We can't keep doing what we've been doing. I hear about all these works by these elected officials about they've done this and they've done that. And I've looked and I can't find a single program, a single piece of legislation that didn't just add to our debt. That we have to be more creative. One of the things that we haven't talked about is the food supply. We have got to decentralize the food supply because, folks, when we have a food shortage, it will get ugly. We need to teach our kids how to grow their own food. Conservatives are reactionary. When we had to defund the police movement, all we could say, all the Republicans could say was, oh, we don't need to defund the police. And what I say is we have to give them a solution. And that solution is that what we do is we take the Internal Affairs Department from New York City and we move it to Los Angeles to Houston, so that there isn't that camaraderie, so that we have someone that understands police and takes action against rogue police officers. That's how you clean up the police department.
There is no way I would be running for Texas Congressional District 35 if I did not believe that I was prepared, experienced, and qualified to do this job. There have been some things said on the stage that are not correct. I do have experience. I worked for United States Senator Ted Cruz during the campaign when he was battling against Beto O'Rourke. It was a tough battle. I was his field representative for the South Central District of Texas. I've also worked for the 27th Congressional District. I've been up and down the halls in Washington, D.C. as a congressional staffer. I have been to Washington, D.C., been there and done that. I am the right choice at the right time for this district. I am a crusader for faith, family, and freedom with a proven track record of excellence. I've even written a book. I'm a published author about decision-making. You need to see someone who knows how to write, who will be able to write legislation and bills so that we can promote everything in the Texas 35th Congressional District. I want to thank you all for your time. I'd be honored to have your vote. Vote for Vanessa.
Number one thing for me, I don't have to agree with anybody. I don't have anybody endorsing me except for my radio listeners. For 15 years, I tell the truth and they'll back that up 100%. I've been a business owner of 7 different businesses. I deal with foreigners every day. I know how they think, how they hate America, and how they take advantage of us. And I deal with the issues, the good, the bad, and the ugly about it. And there is plenty of them because we're dealing with foreigners that want to take over this country, want to take over what we're doing. And I've got that experience in the last 60 years of doing the business that I do. And I have 3 businesses today, and my sons are taking over. And I'm ready to serve you any way that I can, doing what is right, believing what's right. The only person I have to answer to is Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. Amen. Because that's the only person that matters to me in my life. I don't have to answer to any politicians. Thank you.
Good. Again, 60 seconds to explain why you need to vote for me. I have experience working with foreign governments. I have experience. I sat right beside the mayor of Asuncion, Paraguay, when he fired 540 people in one day because of the corruption that was going on in the government. I've worked with corrupt governments. I've helped to resolve corrupt governments, and I've been doing that around the world. And what breaks my heart is to sit with those governments, to sit with those people and see how much they look up to and respect America. I know our media wants us to think that everybody hates us. but they look up and respect America. Somebody earlier said city on a hill. America is the city on a hill. And when I sit there with them, I think we've got to get America right. And I'm willing to go to Washington and fight. I have experience in doing that, and I'm your neighbor. And number one, I agree with you, Mr. Adams. I bought my first car from this man in the early 80s. And so I'm honored to be up here. But this morning, I was thinking through a year from now, I will have a couple of days of serving as your representative. And boy, I'm humbled and honored to have that opportunity. I am browsing. I look forward to your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's have a round of support with the fellows. Please, we want to be sure that all of you, if you have any questions, if you have any